Howdy, hope you're having a great day. In previous videos we talked about my EDC and my sometimes carry bag. And today we're going to talk about my go bag or get home bag. I think of those as largely the same item, as you just add a few things to one and it becomes the other. I'm going to talk briefly about how I arrived at my decisions and what my goals are for the bag. If you want to just get straight to the reviews, go ahead and skip ahead to the next chapter. You do not need to listen to me talk. Now, I have backpacked a bit in the past, and I used this Gregory Palisade that I got in 1999 for about $300. It was, I think, the most expensive thing I'd ever purchased at that time. And I have used this to go all over the country. We have crossed the Continental Divide, done a good chunk of the trail, and I really love this pack. However, it is really big for a go bag. It is also very old, which, while it is still in great shape because it was made by absolute legends, the fabrics are heavy and it just is missing some of the quality of life features that you're going to find on a newer pack. So I identified the need for something in the middle that was easier to carry, throw in the car, and something that I could just put on and go. So because I love this pack so much, and because it has done me well for so long, I didn't want to mess around in my purchase of my next pack. And to that end, I did a pretty fair amount of research. I'm going to put this thing down because it's kind of heavy. And in that research, I kept coming back to the 2-day assault pack from Mystery Ranch. It just looks like it has everything. At the $220 price point, $230 price point, I wasn't sure that made a whole lot of sense for me, given the number of gaps in my kit that I needed to fill. I wasn't sure that spending that much on a backpack was smart. So I started making concessions and looking around at what I could get for less. I was looking for around $100. I got on eBay and found a 2D A.P for $130. It was a black, which is the color that I preferred, and I snatched it up. It arrived in like 4 days, and open it up, tags are still on it, and I was really excited. So this is, in my opinion, the greatest pack of its size ever made. Might be the greatest pack ever made. It is made of 500D Cordura. The zippers are YKK waterproof zippers, and they are the strongest, smoothest, most satisfying zippers I've ever pulled. They're fantastic. Where most bags you are constrained for your storage by the pack itself, you can, I'm convinced, get a washing machine onto this pack if you had the right cables. It can carry everything. And that's kind of a double-edged sword, because it is really hard to stop packing it out. You can see I still have a full panel on here. I have this thing packed out in my go bag configuration. So this is if I am about to grab my rifle and something's gone sideways and we are going out into the woods. This is what I'm grabbing in this configuration. It weighs 32 pounds and it's heavy. I've packed out my Gregory to more than double that weight, but it has an integrated belt, and it's a different sort of frame. And I'm not sure that I can maintain this for 6 or 8 hours a day without significant breaks in between. It's so well made that I don't know how much I'd be dealing with pack sores and stuff like that. I don't think that would be an issue. I've worn this thing around the neighborhood in this configuration, less these AR magazines. And it's comfortable. I don't know that I have the fitness anymore. I mean, my days of 9 days across the Continental Divide are 20 years in the past. So we'll see as I continue to try to take this thing out when we're walking the dogs around the nature parks and stuff like that, how it treats me. But I'm surprised at how long I can comfortably carry this. My goal for this bag is for it to be able to absorb all of the stuff from my sometimes carry bag that I would need and get home. I have moved all that stuff into the bag so that I'm not referring to things that aren't here. However, I'm not going to go in depth on those items as I open the bag up. I will just link to the timestamps from that video, and if you're interested, you can check them out. This is going to be a pretty long one, so I want to do everything I can to minimize my impact on your time. We're going to go over to the table and talk about this thing, but before we do, I want you to see the yoke on the bag. It has dimension, and these straps are just incredible. They have form, stiffness, incredible padding. They have varying depths of padding to make sure that it sits right on you. Incredible amount of suspension adjustment up top here, so you can easily switch the load from shoulders to hips. And I mean, this bag is just insane. The lumbar support here is phenomenal, very comfortable. Everything is very well ventilated, moisture wicking, and the yoke is just genius. If you unstrap all of these things, you rip up a Velcro panel and slide the yoke that is behind this pad here out of the fabric, and then you slide it in here and it separates the Velcro that's holding the whole rest of it in place. And then it's a matter of just adjusting it up and down until you've got the right length for you, and then you just slide it back out. The Velcro seals it in place. You pop that back in here, fold the other Velcro flap over top, and Bob's your uncle. It is not the fastest project you can undertake for sure, but it is very easy for the amount of stability and support that this gives you. It is pretty freaking awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and send it over to the table real quickly. I don't have this on there because it just flaps around and it's pretty annoying. The sleeping pad came from Temu for $6 and it's pretty trashy. It's very thin, and I mean, it only really serves to provide some sort of thermal barrier. It's not comfortable at all. I will upgrade this, but my backpacking days with 3 dogs and a full-time job are largely pretty well behind me. For camping, I have a cot that treats me very well, and so this isn't a high priority item for me, obviously. I keep it run through the compression straps on this floppy thing. Alright, so the 2-day assault pack comes with a web belt. However, mine did not. So I wanted one and sought this one out from Alpha 19er. And it is very well made. It seems very durable fabric on the exterior. Very soft, breathable, well padded interior. It's very lightweight. The attachment mechanism is this little clip here that runs through a loop designed for that purpose on the bag. And all in all, it is a very good belt. It's $26 for the belt. My issue with this one is that I don't know if I got the wrong size or what, but as you can see here, there's an enormous amount of belt rolled up here, and even with all of it rolled up, there's barely enough room for me to get this thing on and tight. To get this thing situated, I have to work this
obnoxious buckle back, which is easier while the belt's on, to be fair, all the way to there, and then it will lock in, and that'll be fine while I'm wearing it. But then as soon as I unclip it, this thing just bloop, and it's very annoying, so I'm probably going to replace this. I will probably keep it in the bag because these clips are so fast, and since there's no way to cinch them up, it's kind of annoying to have them flopping around here. You can really see here that the straps are contoured and, I mean, really well thought out. As with the zippers, you can just feel the quality on every inch of this bag. Adjustable, obviously, down there. And then this is your chest strap, which is, you know, nice strap, nice buckle. And then this is the locking mechanism, which is pretty cool. Right here, it's perfectly locked in. It's not going anywhere. And then you just pull this little band and give it a little tug and it'll loosen. You can slide it around wherever you need it. And then you just pull the band to lock it back in place. And it's tight again. Just make sure it's between these two little pegs and you're good to go. At the joining of those two bands, I have the tourniquet from the STC video. However, I misspoke in that video. This is not a Cat 5, this is a Cat 7. And with this little holder, it was $40, not $30. I keep a Sharpie in here so I can write the time it was deployed for whoever is removing it. And, you know, if you don't carry one of these, you should probably at least know how to deploy one. There are a lot of them out there, and you could save somebody's life. And it'll just take, you know, 5 minutes to watch a video. I'll try to link one at the end. On the bottom here, we've got a double row of MOLLE, so you can strap your sleeping pad or, you know, whatever down there. And then on these water bottle pockets, we have a really nice drainage port there. Water bottle pockets are amply sized, as you can see here. I got quite a bit of stuff in there. This is a UV resistant umbrella, so obviously if it's pouring rain, I can deploy this to stay reasonably dry, and it will also provide some limited invisibility to IR drones in case I'm running from Skynet. So if it's raining or, you know, I'm worried about drones, I'll probably bring this with me. Otherwise, this will probably just stay in the car or at home if I have to grab this thing. I don't know. This is a Grayl. This is kind of the top of the line Grayl. If you've not seen these before, these are probably the best handheld water filters in the world. They use an ultra powdered activated charcoal filter down here that will basically purify the water of anything. They come in 17 and then this 24-ounce model, and they also come with plastic jackets that are considerably less expensive. I believe that the 17-ounce are $70. I'm not sure. I'll put that on the screen. So the way this thing works, I'm just gonna pull the canister out of the container. There is a really nice gasket in here that you're about to see that keeps the whole operation tight. There you go. And then this is the filter, and you can pop these off and replace them as needed. And then this is your container. You'll scoop your water up out of the river or use the D-ring to, you know, lower it down if you're a little higher up, and fill this guy up. Then just pop that in there. Be careful not to cut this O-ring. It's really the only dangerous piece of the operation there. And then make sure the cap is open. You just push. Obviously you want to be vertical for this, but for demonstration purposes. And just that quickly, maybe a little slower, but basically that quickly, you have perfectly clean water. It even filters the odor and flavor out of anything bad that you might be trying to get out of here. And it has a filter rate of 5 liters per minute, which is pretty insane for a handheld filter. As great as these things are, these do have some downsides. The MSRP on this titanium 24-ounce model is $200, which is quite a lot. And then another downside to this filter is that actual filter portion that we looked at in there will only last for about 65 gallons, or 3 years from the first tap. Now 3 years isn't too bad. However, 65 gallons is not the most water, particularly if this is your only filtration method, and you just kind of have to be careful about how to use this, because the filter itself is more expensive than a pair of Lifestraws or a Sawyer with the collapsible bottle and all the kit. So it would, unless you need this for heavy metals or chemicals, you would probably be more efficient to use one of those other methods. So for me, this is kind of a break glass in case of emergency item. I will not tap this until I know that I have to deal with chemicals or heavy metals, because 25 bucks a pop, you don't want to just be running through the filters for no reason. I found this one on Facebook from a scratch and dent sale directly from Grayl. It was $100, and the only scratch and dent, as you can see here, was on the box. Everything, all this other like little damage has been done by me. So I'm very happy with this. I'm very thankful that I was able to find it at such a great price, and I encourage you to check out the plastic versions, because you get almost all the functionality here. You just can't cook in the lower portion, obviously, because it's plastic. However, I'll show you a great solution to that in there, so that this is an extravagance. There is also a lid and an optional nesting cup that you can purchase for this. The lid comes with it. However, because of my other solution, I don't carry that. This is just kind of bonus boiling space. Above that lives the Nextool flagship that we looked at in the previous video. I had it on the other side, similar to this. However, this button just isn't good enough. It's not nearly as good as that button. So, unfortunate. Had to move it up here so I didn't lose it. You've got 3 strips of spaced moly up here, and the moly spacing on this is just a little bit better than it was on the Moab 10, and everything fits to this perfectly. There's no jank anywhere on any of my tools. You can see here that there's a pass-through to the bladder compartment, which does have a little dimension. At my current pack-out level, I cannot really get, I could get water in there, but it just would be dangerous, and there's just no need. I don't see any reason not to carry the bladder with me, though, because I can always rejigger stuff or leave something out if I really need the water. I think that Mystery Ranch could have, if they wanted to, put a loop panel in here somewhere and made this a pretty handy carry pocket. It is accessible with the bag on, with your primary hand. However, they would have needed to switch the zippers as well, or maybe made it a dual single pole. I don't know. I just feel like that would have been cool, given Mystery Ranch's kind of lineage. I'm surprised they didn't do that. I'll move around to the front of the bag. So as great as this pack is, it does have a couple of deficiencies, and one of them is a complete lack of admin anywhere. There's just nothing like that. So if you want some, which I do, you have to add it, which I did. So this is the compact action pouch from Maxpedition. I got this at $36, at $43 now, and I think it's great. I am very happy with it. It is an expensive pouch, but it is very well made. You can see where your money went. And you got 500D hex ripstop, really nice fabric down as the base of this panel and the rear panel. And then this is a nylon TPU composite that has been laser cut, so you can strap stuff to it, and it really protects that nice 500D. Everywhere else on the bag, you've got single weave 1000D Cordura, and that's awesome. It's very durable, and yet not overly rough fabric. On the very back panel, you have more of this nylon TPU, and it is laser cut in a more traditional format. The zippers have this positive pressure pull, I believe they call it, and they're great. They're YKK zippers, and they're kind of small, so the pull's a little gritty, but they they do the thing, for sure. We've got, before we go inside, there are drainage ports in the bottom of both of the compartments. However, this one is really far forward. I'm gonna have to test this more in the rain because that feels like it's gonna emit more water than it ejects. Sorry about that. If you notice random skips like that, it's because one of my dogs has started eating or drinking or something, and it just takes over the audio with this microphone. I'm in the process of moving into a separate room, so hopefully that will become a thing of the past. Anyway, moving inside, you got kind of your standard bandy front pocket. There is a little flappy pocket here in which I keep some electrical tape, and then this dangler has the ear protection from the 510. We've got a Bic, and then over here, a largely unnecessary extra charging cable, but can't hurt. We've got Sharpie and mechanical pencils, some zip ties, and then this old beater M&P folder that I picked up many years ago for about 15 bucks. It's not great. It's super gritty, not great steel. Pocket clips the wrong way, which is, I guess not for some people, but for me. And it's just generally not the best knife. However, it is very light and durable, and it's got the serrated bit here for cutting rope or whatever, and it's just kind of perfect for this kit. I wouldn't carry it anyway, so it just lives in here, and that's great. Back pocket. Cheap flashlight that I can just pass off to somebody in the dark. I mean, I got my headlamp, and I've got a flashlight that I'll be carrying already anyway, so this is just something that I can hand off if somebody needs it, because this night is dark and full of terrors, right? In here, this is just map compass. So originally I was rocking a Lensatic compass. I picked that up for 40 bucks or so, and learn to use it, and that's great, but I don't know if you've ever held a Lensatic compass. They are chunky, heavy creatures, and they're for serious land navigation, and I rarely go more than 30 or maybe 50 miles from my house, and I've lived here for most of my life, and it's just kind of inconceivable to me that I wouldn't be able to get home using this. So much smaller and lighter, and I decided to make the change, and then I was at Menards, and I just happened to be walking by and saw it, and I grabbed this for 5 bucks. And of all the purchases that I've made here trying to save money, this is probably the worst. I mean, fortunately it was only 5 bucks, but another 5 bucks and I'd have had something that would have lasted 10 years or more, and instead I have this cheap, chintzy, shaky piece of junk that's going to fall apart in no time, I'm sure. So this was a stupid purchase, but I will replace it just so I don't have to remind myself of its existence every time I open this thing. Over here we just have the Boo Boo Kit and supplemental meds from the other bag. Moving up to the top here, you'll see a nice grab handle. I mean, it's not the softest thing, but it's definitely sturdy and locked in there. And then you got some D-rings if you've got your own strap that you want to carry this thing as a solo, or you have another way you want to affix to a bag. I mean, you really get this thing to attach to anything. The attachment point that comes with the thing is this triangular sort of clip mechanism. You got 2 full-sized semi-rigid bands there. The front slides into this collar on the back and then locks into place with a clip up front. With the bag unpacked, these things are so easy to manipulate. You just kind of have to be able to fold them certain directions. And with the bag fully packed, you can see here, I've been able to get that one to lock into the back too. This is still the best MOLLE attachment mechanism I've ever seen. So don't let this dissuade you. Compared to anything else, this is way easier to use, and I really like it. So all in all, I have big thumbs up for Maxpedition on the compact admin pouch. Coming across the front, you'll see the compression straps, really nice clips. good bands obviously, and then the top one has this cantilevered buckle on both sides, so you can really cinch down and get your money's worth out of those. Rolling over to the other side, we have an identical water bottle pocket in which I keep this water bottle that fell out as I was moving it up here and I forgot the stuff in there, but this just lives right here. I'm not super particular on the water bottle, just something thin enough that it's not going to impede whatever's over here, and gets me a lot of water. Right, so this is the TacFlex TacMed pouch from 511. MSRP is at $50, and I picked it up during their anniversary sale for $26. It was kind of double on sale. And at the time I thought I had a plate carrier on the way, and it didn't have any pouches, so I saw this at $26, and you can see it kind of has a lot of stuff going on here. I thought it would be a very functional placard or something like that. However, I didn't end up getting that plate carrier. This was already ordered, so what are you going to do? I'm kind of demoing it on here to see how it works. On the front here is the 4x4 strip of laser cut moly that should have been on the back of the rear compartment of the Moab 10 that we looked at last week. So 511 if you're still watching, this one right here. On the bottom we got a tourniquet strap that is nice and elasticy, and this is the tourniquet that came with the IFAC refill kit from Temu. Now I've had this thing on my leg and strapped it in, and it seems like it will definitely work. I am not concerned about using this on anybody, people I know or don't, and I think that it will be just fine. We got a metal baton here, the Velcro is legit, and this collar, while it's kind of the weakest link, it has this really thick base that I think will hold it in place just fine. The one hinky bit is this little flex point in here, but I have no issue with this. So in this case where I'm using it, I'm already down to my second tourniquet, and stuff is pretty bad. So beggars can't be choosers. Better to have it, not need it, etc. With this guy, we have a rip open front compartment. Grab this and pull. Zippers are executed pretty well. They're not YKK or anything special, but they have a good pull. They kind of sag down at the top here, but I mean, you're supposed to be able to rip it open, so that's kind of expected. Once we get in here, things start to go a little wrong. Everything's just a little too small. It's annoying. You can't get a Sharpie in here. The trach tube in this sanitary wrap is too thick to go in there easily, and you sure as hell can't get it out. This chest seal compartment, obviously what this is intended for, is just too small. You can see where the Velcro is, so it can't seal up. These bandy bits are fine. They hold an Israeli bandage and various gauzes over here. And then this back compartment is just as too small as the front one, and is barely containing this 20 pack of handy wipes. So folding this thing back, this heat shrink here is not very well done, and I mean it's fine, but it's loose for heat shrink. Why would you heat shrink it and leave it loose? And then this, there's no elastic here, so kind of annoying to get full closure on this. In the rear compartment here, we have slots for 2 magazines or things of magazine shape. And then in the side here, because this can't fit AK mags, there are a few inches on the side here when you're using AR. So just a couple glow sticks in there. The retention mechanism is this sort of cheap feeling. It's like the pleather version of the nylon stuff on the Maxpedition bag. It just feels kind of cheap. So I've dropped this bag a couple of times, like off of a counter or whatever, and gone to catch it. And multiple times I've grabbed it by this. And I've even once caught it by these 2 front zippers. My finger just slid right in there, and it was the only purchase I had on the bag, and it kept it from hitting the ground. It was kind of instinctive, and I probably wish I hadn't done it, but it worked just fine and everything is still in good shape. If this were my only grab point on the bag as it were falling, I would just let it fall, because these things would definitely not hold up. Something is breaking. So for that reason alone, in addition to the cramped IFAC compartment, I'm going to be replacing this, and I can't recommend it to anybody. I might still be happy to have it once I get a plate carrier, but I feel like I would be better served just getting a double, slapping that right there, and putting a real IFAC kit on here, something with rip away. And I don't trust this thing in a serious scenario. The fact that there's no Velcro on the back of it makes me a little nervous about it, even with a plate carrier, because, like I said, I just don't trust these straps. So anyway, long story short, I would skip this if I were you. Look at the top compartments to this. The front compartment here, I feel like, is a place where Mystery Ranch really missed an opportunity. If instead of this top slip pocket that is really impeded by this lower pocket and is very small, they had put a U zipper here and made this an admin pocket with stuff on the back of this, on this floor, I think that would have been the absolute cherry on top of this sundae here. In there we just keep the same stuff as in the sunglasses pocket in the Moab 10, so the same headlamp that just got transferred over, and then some ball bungees, and then a different Bic that just lives in here. In the lower compartment we have, first thing is some water bags, so that if something gets wet or I want to keep something from being wet, this is the first thing that I open when I open this up. These are from Temu. They are of dubious fabric, however they do work, and they weigh nothing, so for $6, why not? Some quick access food and Hydro Boost, nothing really earth-shattering there. So these are the Durahide gloves that I pulled out of the Moab 10. These are their kind of companion in this bag. These are Hycool waterproof gloves. They are awesome. I 3D print kind of semi-professionally, and I've been looking for the best waterproof gloves for almost 3 years now. These are them. 3 for $8 or $9 on Amazon. Super durable, super lightweight, very comfortable to wear. This stuff doesn't flake off like a lot of them do. Just really good. Next pair of glasses, because I'm blind without them. And then the last thing in here is the kafaya. I wish it could be first, or on one of these sides, but it's just a little too bulky for that, and it has to live in the back to give the front of the bag shape. Nothing else will really work back there. So go in here. First thing I'm going to pull out of here in any sort of situation is going to be this fanny pack. We called it a hip sack back in my day because we didn't really like that nomenclature. I picked this thing up in 1998 at one of my probably my third concert, and it was, I think, $10, maybe $15, and I have put it through absolute hell in the intervening 25 years. It's been to more concerts than I would guess most households, and it is still in absolute great shape. No holes, barely any stains, and just color me shocked, you know what I mean? I never would have guessed that this is the thing that lasts 30 years. Anyway, front pocket just has another Bic. And the zippers both have safety pins because they're so useful, you might as well. And these are some kind of army style can openers here. These are a lot better than the ones you're going to find on a multi-tool. Obviously not as good as a hand crank, but I mean, look at the size and weight of these things. They're just awesome. So check those out if you've never seen them. And then in here is just food. It is not enough food. I need to find some space to add some more calories to this thing, because there's just not enough in here for 2 days. So this is some chicken gumbo. I got this with something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a free bonus thing. So it just seemed perfect for this particular purpose. It's just boil water and pour it in here. We've got some instant coffee and some Hydro Boost down there below that. I don't know anything about this coffee, but you know, in this situation, you don't expect great. You just need it to be caffeinated. Oatmeal, I think there's an instant soup in there, more Hydro Boost, some bars, you know, fruit snacks and stuff like that, just food. And then these Saheli nuts here. Whenever I see those on sale, I just buy a bunch of them all at once and spread them out through my kits and then eat the ones that are left because they really are good. This thing is the bag for a whoopee. If you don't know what a whoopee is, imagine a lightweight sleeping bag, but instead of zipping, it has ties where a poncho has grommets. They come in these stuff sacks so that you can keep them contained. And in this stuff sack, I have 2 things. First is this tarp from Eno. This is the ProFly XL. It's a lightweight ripstop 9 by 13 foot tarp, and it's very good. It's a little big and heavy for this kit, so I will be looking for a lighter weight replacement. But I will not be sad to put this in another kit because it's really useful. I've used it quite a lot. Backyard, music festivals, camping. I got it for 80 bucks on eBay. They MSRP at 130 from REI, I believe. And I'm really happy with it. It's got kind of that, I don't know what to call it, the bearskin rug kind of cut. And it's really, really easy to set up and useful. Very durable. I haven't ripped any holes in it or anything. And I am very happy with that. You know, a little more expensive than I wanted for this, but I don't think it was too expensive for what you actually get. The last thing in here is a wubby. So we already talked about what a wubby is. You can use this as a hammock, and it is water resistant. It also adds a lot of functionality if you're using the Poncho sleep system, you know, with some stakes and stuff like that, or tying it to a tree or whatever. This gives you a little more options. And what I really want to talk about, it's the only thing from the other video that we're going to really like hammer on again, and it's not because they're paying me, I promise, it's just because I really, really like these things. Like, you can see here that this big, long stuff sack that just until a minute ago was holding this and another thing is what the wubby that is in here originally came in. So you can see what kind of work this thing is doing. The caps give you full compression. You don't get any of that digging past the fabric like you saw in this. And you get a really nice grab handle. It's a real light ripstop fabric. There are waterproof versions. They go from the 1.5 liter that we will see here in a minute all the way up to 30 liters. They're like $14 to $16, and they are awesome. So I highly recommend you look into these if you're looking at a way to make your kit smaller. Now I'm going to move this thing at you here for a second so you can see down in here. So I rarely will open this zipper unless I'm loading the bag because everything is very easily accessible from here. There's really no reason to do this and risk anything falling out or have to fight to re-zip it. So normally this is as far into the pack as I would go. You can see we've got twin shoulder pockets on the sides here, and then in the back is that bladder compartment. There is a little thin laptop or iPad or something like that pocket in the front of the bladder shield, and in that I keep some of these collapsible bowls. And there's a pretty decent chance that if I'm using this bag, I'm going to have my dogs with me, and so I got to be able to give them water. So these things just flop out like that, and you can fill them up. If I don't have the dogs, this one's pretty useful for a cup as well. I'm not very happy with these. I would just as soon replace them both with something that, like maybe a 3-pack of something nesting, just because they take up more space. And they don't take up much space, given that they're bowls, but they take up more space than they need to, just because there's not really a great way to pack them. In this shoulder compartment over here, we've got the Silcock key. We've looked at before. Fire kit, we've looked at before. This here is a hand chainsaw, and I see everybody using folding saws. I don't really see people talking about these, and I'm not sure why. I really like this thing. It is, first off, they're 20 bucks from Amazon with this little pouch, and they come from Sportsman Industries. I've used this quite a lot. You can see here, it's basically just a really toothy bike chain attached to 2 nylon handles, and you just wrap it around your tree and pull back and forth, and it cuts right through it. I mean, this thing is, for me, awesome. I've gone through multiple like 2 and 3 inch saplings. I've taken down the largest honeysuckle known to man with this, and it's handled everything so easily. It'll bind up occasionally, when the whatever it is starts to go. I've never had it bend or anything. It stayed really sharp, and it just works, which is more than I can say for my 20-volt chainsaws. So I really like this thing. I would have loved to have spent another $1 on it and gotten something better than this as an attachment mechanism. There's no options. So if I want to get this on the outside of my pack, I have to find some weird, there's no button. Like, just give me a little more, Sportsman Industry. I'm begging you. Anyway, recommend this guy. It's so much smaller and lighter than anything else, and it's a little bit of a faff if your target stick is on the ground already, like it's not still attached to whatever tree. However, I've never had a problem just making it work. You just lean it up against something, stand on the bottom, And then the last thing in here, we will save for a little bit later. Well, actually, that's not the last thing in here. The last thing in here is a little journal. I picked this up at Kroger in a pack on clearance, like $6 for 10 of them or something like that. It's like, why not? You never know when you might need some paper and start fire or whatever. On the other side, shoulder pocket, we have the 20,000 milliamp hour anchor that we've seen before. This is a 50,000 milliamp hour battery that lives in here full time. Obviously, it has a charge indicator on the front as well, and captive USB-A, C, iPhone, and micro USB. So that's pretty useful. And then recharges with USB-A or C, and generally pretty good. I got this during a crazy sale for $20, but I will find that number for sure for you. And then the last thing in here is the kind of big brother to the UV5G Pro that we looked at in the Moab 10. This is the UV5G Plus, and it just has a bigger battery. And I figure I'm going to be walking for a couple days, and I don't want to burn those. I left the belt clip on this in case I want to strap it to the strap. And I've got a whip antenna in there. This is a GMRS radio, and the license for this is just $35. You fill out some paperwork and you're done. It's not like a ham radio where you have to take a whole test. And that license covers you and your family for 10 years. So as far as backup communication solutions go, this seems like a really good option to me. Like I said in the other video, we're not super experienced with these because it's kind of hard to find time to go out and practice with them. However, we have used them a bit around the neighborhood, and it's a great option to have. At least you got something in case of emergency. It's also got a little flashlight on the top. Alright, so normally, like I say, I would just grab whatever I want out of here, but I'm going to open it up for you so you can kind of see how the inside works, loading and unloading. So there are two center line pockets that run here and here, and I love them. It is such a great design because they come in underneath these shoulder pockets so they can kind of share vertical space even though they don't share horizontal space, and it's just a really nice design. You can use these a lot of ways. In this one I have the lightweight tent stakes and the poncho that we looked at in the last video. Obviously that is in case I need to use that for a sleep system. In the front here we've got a Guidesman lantern. I picked this up at Menards for $12. It is billed as nearly indestructible, which I kind of want to test out. If I'm honest, if I replace this thing, I might. And replace it, I probably will, because while it does seem extremely sturdy, I'm not too sure about this, but the actual structure of it does seem very strong. The reason I bought it, it is USB-A and C rechargeable, and all my old ones were AA's, so it just seemed like a very utilitarian purchase. And at $12, it does exactly what you want it to. It sheds a lot of light. However, it's almost too much light. I'm going to do it like this so I don't blind you with the light of 10,000 suns. But this thing does not play, and there is no shield or anything so that you don't blind yourself. Further complicating the issue, it starts in its brightest mode. So, yeah. If you know something similar to this that won't just utterly blind me if I look at it wrong, please let me know in the comments. I like this thing. It's just a little too featureless. Just one little slighty would have made this so much better. This, on the other hand, is awesome. This is the Stanley Adventure. It is a stainless steel cook kit, obviously. $25, and it's great. It's so much better than the old one that I had. I haven't actually cooked with this yet because it's a pretty recent acquisition. However, my old one was smaller, and there was no cap or handle to hold the lid in place like this, so it just slid around. I had to use ball bungees, so it was all sliding off, and it was horrible. So replacing it with this is a marked improvement. This is $25 on Amazon, or I think you can get them at Walmart, stuff like that as well. And the handle, you just squeeze this little contraption here, flip it open, and bam, it's locked into place. The old one that I had a little butterfly handle, so you gotta hold those in a fire. I mean, come on. So this is obviously much better. And little vented lid. It comes with two nesting cups. However, I've pulled the top one out to replace it with a 100-gram isobutane container. These are 2 for $20 and fit perfectly in here. 100 gram, not 110. Beneath that is one of the nesting cups that came with the kit, and this extraordinarily cheap and small camping stove from Amazon. This is $6, and it came in the orange case that is on the holding the boo-boo kit that we looked at. I was pretty skeptical of these when I first started seeing them. However, I saw some YouTube reviews that was like, they work, so I got one, and it works. It is not nearly as efficient or effective as my old camping stove, but my old camping stove was 20 times the price of this and is at least 4 or 5 times the size. This thing's pretty awesome. You just expand these little feet, if you like, around, and then screw this onto the top of your canister. Or if you've got a Coleman propane, you can just use this as an adapter, and that'll work just fine. I guess it's like this, but you know what I mean. And then this thing that we pulled out earlier acts as a base if you're on broken ground or whatever. Just snap that in there, and that's locked in, and this will keep you pretty level. You can cook right on top of the stove, and I mean, it's great. It's not perfect by any means, but at the efficiency of cost and weight and space, I mean, this is just perfect for me. I think it's awesome. Like I said, $6, 2 for 20, 2 for 11, 2 for 8, I think. And then we also, over here, have an aluminum heat shield. This was 2 for 15. And it is exactly what you would expect. It is admittedly cheap. So these little rods are pokey, both top and bottom. So like I have a shirt down at the bottom of the bag. The heat shield just wraps right around the stove and keeps everything efficient in the wind. And not really a whole lot to say about that. The main thing, though, that we're talking about here is for under $100, I was able to make this kit for me and an identical one for my wife's get-home bag, and I couldn't be more happy with it. Of all the things that I have replaced in my old backpacking gear, this was the one that I was the most surprised about. It's just awesome. Right, so under the shoulder flap there is some space, and this is just a perfect size little toiletry kit to slot right in there. I've had this for probably 20 years. It's really durable, smooth fabric. The inside has a little bit too much loop, honestly, and fabric and stuff. I would be interested in replacing this just because it's a little annoying to work with, but it's great. Got, just normal travel kit in there. I grab this out whenever I need to spend a night somewhere and I'm not bringing the whole thing. I'm taking the smaller bag or whatever. Toothbrush, toothpaste, shampoo, that sort of thing. In this front one here, we've got a cutlery kit. You gotta have it somewhere, and I figure, these are useful to have even when you're not camping out in the woods. So easy to slot right in there. And then in this front pouch, we just have some tweezers and nail trimmers. It's got its own strap. If it were a little longer, it would be a little more useful. I would like to find a replacement that is just a little more modern. However, this is a nice little bag. Next thing we have here is a change of clothes in the bag that the Poncho came in. So another display of the power of Aegismax. On the top is a pair of waterproof pants from Mountain Hardware. Picked these up about 20 years ago. They were $100. They are super light, ripstop fabric. The Velcro on the bottom is big enough to go around boots. This is the back pocket that it's packed in, so that's very efficient. And they work very well. However, I absolutely hate them. Every step sounds like a zipper, and when you're walking through the forest, all the birds stop chirping because it sounds like there is an angry swarm of locusts coming through. If you can recommend me something similar, but not as noisy, I would be forever in your debt. Boxers and bamboo socks. And then in the bottom here is a Force shirt from Carhartt. So I picked this guy up at Kroger about 10 years ago. I happened to be walking past the clothes section in a marketplace, and everything was on clearance. So I was like, oh, whatever. I walked through it, and I just grabbed this up on a whim. It was $5, and I really wish that I had bought about 40 of them. It is a really soft, lightweight ripstop fabric. The seams are mostly all triple sewn. A couple of the pockets are double, but vented back, 2 standard chest pockets, and then you've got another mesh zipper. And I mean, these things are just comfortable, and generally I absolutely love this shirt. It's probably my favorite shirt, and I regret that I need to sacrifice it to live in this bag most of the time. However, if I ever need this bag, this is the shirt I want to be wearing, and I will be happy to have it at that time. Normally they are $35, and so I can't afford to buy a whole slew of them. However, I will probably buy more because I just really like them. Moving into the far center line pocket here, we've got a Lifestraw. This will just be the companion to the Grayl. It has a much longer life, measured in tens of thousands of gallons, and I would use this in any scenario where I don't think there are like chemicals or heavy metals in the water. And the last thing we have in here is a fixed blade knife. This is the Mora Garberg. I had a companion in my cart and was going to check out with it when this popped up in the you might also like window at $65 with the survival sheath with a diamond pad and ferro rod, carbon steel blade. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and grab the big brother. The sheath has a nice leather belt loop, and this is just a great knife. I haven't had it out in the bush yet. However, I have batoned a few sticks in the backyard, and this thing is very fun to use. So I am very happy with that and see no reason to upgrade it anytime in the near future. They normally MSRP at $110, and so I was very happy at $65. And the last thing in here is a blend shirt. I know that I need to replace this with merino or something, but just haven't been able to do that yet. And going into summer, I'm not super worried about it. So that is my 2-day assault pack and everything that I keep in it. Please let me know in the comments if you think that I'm wasting any space or weight in here and there's something that I could easily take out, or if you think that I'm missing something obvious and should find a place for something. Please let me know as well. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this. Remember that we're all in this together, so be excellent to each other and be good to yourself as well.